Hey, everybody. My name is Marcus Brodsky. I'm the club manager for Team Princess Poker Club. Our club ID on the PPPoker app is 431378. I wanted to put together a quick vlog over my most recent session that I played on the app in a 2-4 game that we run on Wednesdays. Buy-in is from 200 to 400. And I think I bought in for 300 to start, and it's a wild and exciting one. So I hope you will enjoy the hands. What I did to go through this is I kind of I saved all of the relevant hands into my collection, which I can show you how to do on the app, and yeah, we'll take it from there. All right, so I'm going to start by sharing my screen. All right, so you should be able to see over here the app over here. And then here, go over to my profile and review. Yes. Oh, it looks like it's trying to work. Okay. I'm going to go to my collection here. I'm going to start. This is the one we'll go to. This is from yesterday, so we'll start here. Yeah. First hand. You can tell pocket queens under the gun here. Raised 2.5x. Called in the small blind, called in the big, called by the under the gun. Fold. Flop comes 9 high. Definitely gonna see bet this flop. Go for 2/3 sizing. All the way around. That's not a very good turn card, but a hard to miss. Call again. There's a 9, that's bad. And our opponent has a flush. Reasonable hand. I do this. Go to the next hand. But pocket threes. Raise it up. I could probably go larger than 3.5x here, but only chose to go 3.5x. Flop a set, nice. These don't appear to actually be in order. Ugh. Not a great turn. Diamonds come in. Should probably be checking here, especially with pot as big as it is, but I check. And river's bad. I go back call. I think we have an easy fold now. And our opponent turned to straight. Okay. Pocket threes again. This time on the button. Definitely gonna raise. I hope I go to like 20. Oh, I just call. Interesting. And flop a set. Huh. Yeah, and always on these very coordinated boards. Put it in the raise. And it gets through. I would have preferred a raise pre-flop. King 10 offsuit. Small blind. Not good. Yeah. I debate between just limping and raising. Big blind out of there by raising. Oh, that's a good flop. Top, bottom pair. Oh, now we have a royal flush. Okay. Check on the turn. Gotta go for value now. Oh, our opponent folds, but I guess we wanted to show the royal flush there. When you're running good, you make royal flushes. Ace nine of hearts. Ace and a raise, can call, sometimes three bet. Well, that's easy. Just flop a flush, flop the nuts. Now, I think on monotone boards especially, you don't want to be betting big. Because it's hard for your opponents to have a hand they feel comfortable with to call. So we'll go for a third pot sizing. You could even go smaller here. Get called behind by the low jack, hijack. Keep betting. Good betting on the turn. I like an overbet here. Oh, kind of small. Oh, do get called. Zach had a bounty on himself for $50, so it may have been I didn't want to. I was worried that if I bet at all, that he would just fold too much. So I wanted to get value. Easy hand though. Ace jack of spades, 5-handed now. 10. Called by everybody. Flop a flush draw. Definitely going to continue on this flop. Go small. Small is okay, especially if we know we're going to drill the turn and still be 4 ways here. $100 in the middle. Why did I check? I don't know. Decided to check the turn. Did you get a bet? Third sizing from Romy? I think it's just a call. On the river, we can lead out pretty big. Yeah, a half pot. 40%. Please call me, Romy. I only have ace jack of spades here. No. Okay. 9, 10 of diamonds. Yep. I typically raise these 2 connectors in low position over some limps. And we go flopping a flush again. Life is easy, flopping up, and your opponent just goes all in. He's gonna do this a lot with I'm gonna pause it here. He's gonna well, it kind of ruins it, but he's gonna do this a lot with ace x with the ace of diamonds, some kings, king queen, ace king kind of hands, sets, 5s and 6s that didn't 3-bet pre-flop. And yeah, this is a very reasonable hand for him to have here. And we hold. Nice size pot. Queen jack of clubs in the small blind. I'm definitely going to defend this hand if somebody opens. I might raise. I might just call depending on how many people limp in. Let's see. It's a good game. You got good action players here. Old school likes to gamble it up. Ezekiel likes to play a lot of hands. Zach plays a lot of hands, but pretty passively. Kevin plays a good number of hands, and Romy's also pretty loose passive. So some loose passive opponents are my favorites. Just they put in a lot of money dead. To go big here out of position, I like that little 5.5x, and we get heads up and just flop top 2. I'll bet. Call. Turns the brick. Ties up 2/3. Get called. River. Pretty unimportant. I think you got to put them all in. Yeah, putting Zach all in here. Hope he has a hand like ace queen, king queen that doesn't want to fold. King 10 of clubs in the big blind. Raised all in one spot. Flop nothing. It And turn top pair. Second kicker. Small bet. River's pretty innocuous. Only worried about like an ace five occasionally. Does do face the min raise. Definitely gonna call and beat 10 jack. King jack here, offsuit, 2.5x open, top flop, top pair. Against this player, I could definitely see raising. Yeah, Alex likes to donk lead a lot, so I don't mind putting on some pressure. Again, one is river 4. Hard to get value on the river with one liner to this grid, but he has a 6. I don't think he would have called another bet, but who knows? It's Alex. Anything is possible. Pocket kings. Must be doing something right. Raise it up. Called in 2 spots. Flopping over pair. And let's see bet. Very high frequency with an over pair here. Gloves out there. Having the king of clubs helps. Makes you feel got some backup equity if something goes haywire, like it does right here. We face a raise. I expect Kevin to do this with a lot of queens, a lot of top pairs, and a lot of flush draws. So we're gonna shove it, and we're up against queen 5 of hearts, and we hold on a club river, club run out to make a flush and beat 2 pair. Queen 5 should not be check raising. Generally speaking, it's just not a you can do that if you have 2 pair. You can do that if you have like a hand like ace queen top pair top kicker, queen king top pair second kicker. But with such a weak top pair, you're just beat by too many hands, I think. Next hand, king 9 offsuit, the big blind. Do I go calling a raise? I probably shouldn't. I should fold. This should be a fold. I do call and flop top 2. So things are running very hot. Third sizing on the turn. I don't know if I like this just because, see, yeah, now I get raised and it's like, well, what kind of hands would he be calling the flop and then check and then raising the turn? Hearts are obviously possible. Hands like queen jack, hands like, and he has queen jack in this case. I think I should not be betting big on that flop, and I think I bet 40 into 60. I should be going maybe $20 bet or checking is fine. Especially on the turn. I like obviously the flop play, but the turn, I think it brings in just too many hands. And he could even have a hand like pocket 2s or pocket 10s that would play this way. So I think it's just I think I just bet too big on the turn. Ace queen of clubs, pretty hands. These hands are all over the course of a period of about 3 hours. So you can see the people's got up and changed seats and all that. I decided to put in a 3-bet to 45 out of position, 4.5x the open, which I like the sizing. May even want to go a little bit bigger with 2 callers behind. We just flop top pair in a big pot, in a 3-bet pot. So 150 in the middle, top pair going to put out about a third. Get called by worse aces. Club, just great. Like I'm not happy to get it in on the turn, and we're up against a worse ace like we thought we might be. But we get the full KO there. That might have been my high mark, almost near my high mark of the night. No, I wasn't yet. Straddled to 8. I had to go for a small raise. I should probably go bigger, being out of position, but it is what it is. Continue betting. snap calls. That's kind of interesting. So it really makes me think he's on a draw and like 10 jack, 7-8. I don't really know. I don't really put him on many sixes. So when he bets out the river, what kind of hands would he be doing this with? There's a lot of hands for value. I guess he could do this with a queen. He could do this with an overpair, but this time he has ace 10 suited and we find the call. Probably a bad call by me, honestly. Let's replay the hand. I want to watch this one again. So he's straddled to 8, so he hasn't looked at his cards yet. And I do raise this hand. I think I should be going bigger, but I went pretty small. Queen 9-6. I was doing this because I had a double gutter. So if any 7 or any jack would give me a straight on this flop. Also, I had backdoor diamonds, so I figured I had a lot of equity here. Then when I turned an 8, I kind of felt good about my hand in the moment, and that's why I kept betting. I think, because I do think a hand like 7-8 is gonna continue now. Since they continued the flop, now that they made a pair, they're probably going to continue. And I beat 7-8. I also beat a hand like 6-7. I'm losing to 7-10 and 10 jack, which are also possible. But it's a little bit dicey. Pocket sevens might also get to this card and play in this fashion. So when I make the pair, I normally check because I have showdown value. And now against this opponent in particular, if you show weakness, this opponent is very likely to continue betting or to try and take the pot away. So, I think, I bluffed the flop and then I got there on the turn and now I slow down. So definitely something to think about in your own play. Like, what spots does it make sense to keep betting and keep bluffing? Like, is my 8 ever good here? Or not ever, but is my 8 good here like enough of the time? So I kind of felt that in this case it was good enough of the time that it was worth putting in a call. River's a 6 of diamonds. Now the backdoor flush, the clubs miss. Which is another combination of hands that he might start bluffing on the turn, as if he had a hand like king 10 of clubs, ace 10 of clubs. I do worry about a combo draw, something like 7-10 of clubs that now is had a turn to straight, river to turn to straight. But I don't know. This is an opponent who likes to get out of line, so I decided to check with the intention of calling. And I took a little bit of time, but I did decide eventually to call. So I thought about it and was like, I really just don't think he has anything. So I called and I was right. Lucky hand. But I don't think I should be generally calling this line. Jack 7 of clubs. Probably open this one. That's fine. Yep, open 2.5. We're called on 3 spots. And we flop a straight. That's pretty good. Usually does pretty good. Definitely gonna bet. Always bet your straights because you don't block any of the hands you want your opponents to have to continue. I bet and get called by everybody, which is very, very bad. Turn's a decent card. I don't, like bet again and get called twice, and then the river is probably the worst card on the deck, bringing the front door flush and straights in. But with only a $22 bet, I don't think I can fold. 300 and $30 or $300. It can't fold for 20. But as soon as I click call, I'm like, this is money that's going away. But I couldn't really fold it. I think this is a very light open, and that may be part of my problem here. A hand like Queen Jack would obviously be much better to be calling with pre-flop or making a raise with pre-flop. I did it mostly because it was suited and I was in late position. But the fact that I got called in 3 spots or 4 spots pre-flop and then called in all spots on the flop when I flopped, the second nuts, is really kind of interesting. So should definitely think about how how the pre-flop play resulted in me losing a $355 pot. So if I just don't play this hand, I don't lose $175 or whatever it is, or $100. So just something to keep in mind. Like, I played this one fine. It's just obviously the run out was bad, but like if I hadn't played it at all, I would have made more money. Pocket kings. Open under the gun. Someone please 3-bet me. That's the one thing about our group. Not a lot of people are 3-betting except me. And so it's very tough. Jack high flop. Definitely going to be continuing. Probably raising this bet. Yep, put it in a raise. Get called. Turn is a club, giving us a flush draw. I think I would bet some. He only has 100 back, so bet 40 again to set up a half pot size shove. Check it down. I miss value there. I don't think he's going to fold the jack high flush if I just bet it out. The one problem is I lose to two different clubs. So I lose to the 4 of clubs, I lose to the 9 of clubs, and I also lose to the ace of clubs. So I lose to 3 individual cards. And it's very I think it's a pretty high likelihood. Like, if he has a club, he might call, but again, that means 3 of the remaining clubs beat me. And if he doesn't have a club, I think he has to fold to any bet. So it's hard to get called by worse. Specifically looking to get called by the queen, the jack, the 10, the 3, or the deuce. I mean, so queen, jack, 10, 3, deuce. There are 5 clubs he can have that are good for me, and there are 3 clubs that he can have that are bad for me. So that's almost 50. It's not quite 50-50, but like it's like if it was 4 and 4, it'd be 50-50 about cards that are good for me and cards that are bad for me for him to have. And like I said, he really can't call the river if he doesn't have a club. I don't see him making some sort of hero call with like pocket 9s with no club, or pocket 4s with no club. Obviously a 4 of clubs or a 9 of clubs makes a straight flush. So yeah, I think checking back is fine. Given his exact hand, he may have called because he has the jack of clubs. But I think I could also just shove the turn. And he probably calls it off on the turn for sure. So yeah, interesting spot. Pocket 10s, 4-handed now. We played short-handed for quite a while, actually, until the game got close to the end. Flopping a set, that's always good, but on a very coordinated flop, 10 jack queen, I'm gonna bet the turn, face a raise, which sucks because any 9 is a straight. Gonna call. River of boat, that's very good. Now we beat all the straights, and I'm really targeting a straight here. It turns out he turned a set in river to boat too, a worse boat, but I think a lot of the times when he raises the turn, he's going to have a 9 of very high frequency, or a hand that was slow playing like king 9 or ace king that slow played the flop. So I do like my bet on the turn, just to try and get value from a hand like king queen, ace jack that might have checked back the flop. Pocket king, I don't know. It's kind of hard to find some hands that he would play in this exact manner besides pocket 8s, which makes sense. I think him raising the turn is a little bit suspect, just because I can also have plenty of 9s in my range when I check the flop with an open ender kind of situation. So anyway, interesting hand. Win a really nice size pot there. Jack 9 of clubs. Open it up. Under the gun. We're playing only 4-handed, so you kind of have to play a lot of hands, but flop top pair. Minimum betting the flop is kind of unusual. I decided to keep calling, and then if he checks, I'm gonna bet the river. And he bets. I think. It's kind of weird. Trying to think of a hand that he would play this way with. I do decide to call, and he rivers two pair. Yep. Well, I don't think I need to be calling the river bet. Although I'm trying to think, would he bluff the ace of spades X kind of hands? Ace of spades 8, ace of spades 3, ace of spades 4. Kind of hard to see for sure. Maybe a hand like 6-7 with a spade or 10 jack with a spade. So I don't know. Don't love how I played that one. Ace 5 of spades here. Same setup we've got. Pocket ace to 10, called by everybody. Flop top pair. Keep betting. Call. 6. Again. There's a jack. So the snap check raise. This is really interesting. I'm trying to find a hand that makes sense for him to play in this manner. I'll pause it here. So let's go back to the start of the hand. Can I do that? I don't think I can. So I raised pre-flop, and he completes after 2 other players call. So I raised to 10 and call. So 4 wastes the flop. I bet, and he calls. Turn. Let's see. On the turn, I bet again, and he calls. But on the river, he checks again, and I bet, and I'm going for the value, like top pair bad kicker, and he snap check raises. So 3x, exactly 3x. So when he does this, like I'm trying to find a hand that would do this for value, that would have played so passively up to this point. I can't imagine pocket threes, for example, like deciding on the turn not to raise. Like I could definitely decide on the flop, I'm just going to call, but on the turn, I'd be putting in a raise when the flush, when a heart comes in, so there's now a flush draw. It just doesn't. I had a hard time figuring this one out, and I think I did when I don't understand why my opponent has played it in this manner. I think I usually click call, and the thing is that Zach does not usually put in huge bluffs, check raise all that frequently. So I should have found the fold button here. I mean, a hand maybe like King Jack would play this way. Check call, check raise. King Jack makes a lot of sense. Maybe a hand like Queen 10 with the Queen 10 of hearts. Like the other Queen 10s like don't have much reason to continue on the turn. I mean, I could see calling once with a gut shot for sure, but I wouldn't be calling twice with just a bare gut shot on a board that really smashes the pre-flop raisers range like mine. So it's like, I have all the aces, kings, ace, king, ace 3 suited, aces and kings. So it's like, there's just not, it's just kind of a suicidal line if you have just any Queen 10 there on the turn. So anyway, I think I decided to call, or I know I decided to call here. And yeah, I even used the timing button to give myself some more time to think. And yeah, I'm going to put in the call here and be wrong. But I'm trying to find a bluff like king queen. Is he going to turn kings with a queen kicker blocker into a rate, like into a bluff? Yeah. Queen 10 of hearts, so he makes Broadway on the river. Just the nuts. Ace 5 suited again. 4 hands later. Facing a raise. I like to 3-bet this one sometimes, and I do. Ace 5 being one of the, good bluffing candidates here. Continue betting, go on the big sides. I mean, this is a pretty coordinated board with two diamonds and a straight draw. Obviously snap fold to the jam. I don't know if I like the way I played that hand or not. Ace four diamonds, a little small raise, called by four, flop, middle pair. Could decide between checking or betting this flop. Decide to go half pot. That's okay, given it's pretty uncoordinated. I mean, we just drill the turn with the third four. I'm definitely gonna keep betting and go on the larger size because now I'm trying to get called by a king, a flush draw, straight draws, and now my hand is pretty disguised as pretty strong, but disguised. So go for 2/3. Really don't like the river. I don't expect him to have 2-5 very much, but clubs are certainly possible. So we pick up a nice pot there. Ace jack of spades. Decide to put in the raise. Top pair. That's good. I should normally be betting this flop, but I'm checking to the to Bruce because if he senses that I'm weak, he might really go for it here. So I check it to him again. He checked back the turn. Now I'm pretty sure I should really bet the river, but I don't. I think I misplayed that one, Bruce. And I should definitely be betting. I should probably be leading the flop, continuing on the turn and checking the river when the backdoor flush comes in. But small pot there. Pocket sixes. Raise. It's a small 3-bet, 2.4x. Call. Flop. Pair and a gut shot. It's a pretty big sizing, but I think he would do this with ace king over cards, etc. So turn is a 9. Check. River's a king. Now this does not make much sense. I should not be trying to bluff this river. As you can see, it didn't work. I got called by a 7, so I don't love my line there. I think the flop sizing by Bruce, really kind of messed me up in this hand. He went really pretty large on the flop with top pair, top kicker, which I don't blame him for. I had the kind of hand though that needs to see a turn card for sure with the pair and the gutter, just in case, he's doing this as like ace queen of diamonds, ace queen of hearts, ace queen of clubs. I mean, any suited ace that has a backdoor flush draw, which this one does, but also happens to have a top pair. So lose a pretty sizable hand there that I kind of misplayed. I think that's the end of the hands that I recorded for this session, which is kind of not that crazy, but let me go back here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You watch this one? 10. I think I was just trying to demonstrate how good I was running. That how well I was running that. Oh yeah, this was the one where I had the royal flush. Okay. Just a royal flush, no big deal. But yeah, look at all these these are all the hands, and look at how many of them are green. Which means I won money on the hand. It's hard to run this good and get this many good hands. You could see the timestamp on all of these, that the last time I did this was 11:58. But the first one was 10:15. 9:15. So between 9:15 and midnight, when all these hands happen, I got crazy good hands. it's kind of an interesting situation. So if I go back here and I want to click and see it looks like we ended the game right around midnight, 12 before. I mean, there's just so many hands of note in such a short time. And if we go back to I don't think I can go back to the beginning of the session because it only keeps the last 200. But let's see. Yeah, that's as far as it goes. So it only goes back to there. But yeah, it was a session. It was just a crazy session. I was hitting pretty much everything. Even this, like a 7-5 of spades, I won $65 on, which again is not that much, like 15 blinds, but obviously good to have the button here. And I think I bluffed on this hand. I don't think I had anything. Let's see. Face of raise, just decided to call. Goes 3 ways to the flop. Flop a flush draw. Place a bet, call. Turn gives me straight draw. But it's a deuce. It's like an offsuit deuce. So the fact that Alex now checks is pretty weak. So I decided to bet, and I think he folds. Yeah. That's kind of not really paying close attention. I mean, Alex, if he's bluffing the flop, that's a turn card he should definitely be continuing to bluff on, because it's not going to change the strength of anybody's hand. It's kind of a mistake there by him, but I took it as what it was, weakness, and just pounced. Yeah, there was even more, like the first the first 15 or 20 hands, I was already up like $650 after just a couple of hands. I'm gonna stop sharing my screen and talk just a little bit about the importance of like reasonable expectations. So last night was insane. I ran incredibly well. I won $1,410 on the night. I lost $40 in PLO, but won $1,450 in this 2-4 game. And I think it's very easy to get sucked into I'm winning money, so I'm doing really well. I'm playing really well. That may not be the case. I made several mistakes last night for sure. And it's important to remember it's not about what the result says. It's really about it's much more about how the decisions you're making and how you're making them. So the one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to hop on from my phone and I'm going to show you my graph that shows you my chart. Actually, I think, can I do it on here? I think I can. Hold on. I'm going to show you my chart on PPPoker, and then I'm going to show you my chart from before poker. My chart from okay, let me start sharing my screen again. Okay, so this is my chart for 2021. You can see month by month. So January I was up 1,200. Plus 20, almost 2,800 in February. Almost 3,000 total. Over 4,000. Down to 3,700. Down to 2,600. Then I had an amazing month in July and won about $3,000, and I'm up to 6,800, up to 7,000 for August, and then in September I'm up to plus 8,800 for the year. That's 2020. Here is 2019. This is I'm sorry, that's 2021. This is 2020. So I started out minus $500 in the first month we played. Then I was down minus 2,300. And then I was down minus 18 total. 8 minus 8. I did not get even until starting in March, April, May, June, July. It was not until August that I got into the green, starting in March. So I had a really rough start, first 4 months on the app. And starting in August, I finally booked the profit and I was up plus 700. then I was up, then I went down a little bit, then I had another really good month in November. Probably one of my best months. I was up $2,500 in the month, and then I was pretty much even from November to December. So all time, plus $13,668 on this app. And if you look month to month, it's like very different. You can see the months where I play more or less. But the trend is in the right direction mostly. This month was not so good. And if we go back to the very beginning, like it was way, way bad. It's kind of interesting to see the month to month. It's how much more rocky it is and how much more down, sometimes it's up like this, but sometimes it's, this was definitely a crazy month. This was January. I was like way up, and then I lost a little bit back at the end. So this is December 2020. November was a really good month. I was pretty much straight up and to the right. So it varies, each month to month, but that's why I like the year better, because it gives you a little bit more of a little more smooth situation. But this is just since COVID. So this is all my COVID poker. But I wanted to also share with you my charts for pre-poker, so pre-COVID. So give me 1 second. I'm going to stop sharing my screen here. Then I'm gonna go here. Just a moment. A moment. Okay. Sorry, I should have done this before. Maybe I can get out of it. Marcus. Switch. Want to join. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen here. Okay. So now you should be able to see income app. So if we want to look at just cash games by date. Whoop. So you can see starting in 2017 and 2016. Actually, no, this is the beginning of 2017 over here. I didn't play all that much, but it's a pretty good graph. This is just cash games. So cash games, I didn't play that many cash games before 2017. I was mostly a tournament player. And then this is really since COVID. So I've played a couple of times since COVID, but not very frequently. So there's a big gap there. And this is where all my results from the PPPoker app will come in once I'm done. I have to load them all in, so it's going to take me some time. But this is my cash game chart. Session. Let's go to tournaments. You can see the tournament chart. Yep. This is the tournament chart. Also, I mean, it also goes up to the right, but I've had some downswings in here. But interestingly, only about plus $2,000. So not huge on the y-axis. I actually have one more in cash games than tournaments. but yeah, if we just combine them together and do a report of all cash games and tournaments, you can see sort of that looks like. And it's a pretty good chart. It goes in the right direction. But but it's important, like you'll notice that at the very peak, at the height of my skill or success, I was at plus $13,000. So it's not like enough money to live on or anything like that at this point in my life. But I'm averaging $40 every time I play, $9.72 an hour that I've put in, at least that I've tracked in this app. So it's kind of cool. So I'm gonna stop sharing. But it's important to remember that poker is a long game, and it's much more about your mental game is just as important, if not more, than your actual skill at playing the game and the ability to take things in stride. So if things go bad, you lose, you hit a bad run of cards, things just go awful for you. It's really important to be able to take a breath, take a step away, take a break, come back, think a little bit about, okay, well, what can I do better next time? We can always be improving our games, and it's important to but it's really important to be mentally like prepared to play. And whether you're playing online or in person, like the importance of by the way, that whole chart that I just showed you, those are all in-person games. Before the pandemic, I hadn't really played online poker since I was in college, since like 2005, 2006. So it's been a long time for me playing online. And it obviously I took a beating the first 5 months on the app before, I don't know, adjusting my play accordingly a little bit. I was I think it's very easy to, oh, this app is rigged. I saw straight flush over straight flush, quads over quads. Like we've seen the crazy things that happen online. The one thing I will always say is that it's equally happening for you and against you. And so as many times as I've been sucked out on somebody hit a 1-outer against me, I've done it to them too. So the balance seems to be right on balance with the sort of the variance that exists. But you're just seeing so many more hands. I mean, we played in person a couple weeks ago, and I think we may have played 110 hands over 6 hours. Like, I mean, you just don't get anywhere near as many hands in playing in person, passing the cards around, dealing, shuffling, et cetera, et cetera. It's just so much faster to play online. So you're just seeing so many more hands. But I think, the real, one of the things that really separates the people who do this very seriously and play professionally versus the rest of us is their mental game, and the fact that they can like deal with a bad beat, or they'll get up and walk around for 15 minutes before coming back to the table if they're playing live. You're playing on your computer. You can sit out, you can step away, you can stand up and come back and take your time. I think that's a really important aspect of the game that we don't really focus on enough. So if you get a chance to focus on one area of improving your game, take a look at your mental game and how to strengthen it to be better adept at handling the things that happen to all of us, and avoiding going on a bad spiral where you tilt and you lose, you play hands you wouldn't normally play, you just start giving the money away. And that's really a big leak that many of us have, and I'm guilty of it myself too. I was running so hot last night or on Wednesday when we played that like there were a couple times I played hands that I would not have normally played. Now, thankfully for me, none of them really only 1 or 2 of them ended up in my hand review. Thankfully, because I won a lot of the smaller ones and I didn't lose any really big ones except for the ones I shared. So, it's kind of, it's easy to go on like winning tilt too, where it's like, oh, I win every time I play, so I'm going to just play all the time, play every hand. And even though we were playing shorthanded, you can't play every hand, and you have to pick your spots and be aware of your position at the table and your position in the hand. That was the one thing I was a little bit, impressed with, is that some of the players, they, because they were only 4-handed or 5-handed for a lot of the session, some people, they lost a buy-in, they got up and they came back and they sat in a different seat. Now, they may have been sitting in a different seat for any number of reasons, but I have found that you really want strong opponents, you want your strong opponents to be on your right, not on your left. And so yeah, you want, if you have if there's a really strong person at your table, you would much rather have them be on your right than on your left. They make your life a living nightmare when they're on your immediate left, especially. So you want the best players to be on your right. So people were getting up and moving around at the table as well. So that was kind of fun. But there's a lot of aspects to this game. I will say, having played now for really, I guess I started mostly playing a lot in college. So it's been about 17 years for me since I really started playing seriously. I mean, started playing more regularly, and then in the last 7 years, I've taken it a lot more seriously. I went to Vegas. I played in the WSOP and some of the smaller tournaments, not the main event. And I got my ass handed to me a few years ago when I went to Vegas the last time. So, there's still a lot to learn in this game, and I think sort of remembering that at the end of the day, you want to be making really good decisions, I think is really important. So, making good decisions will lead to positive results in the end, and that's really important. Listen, if you're seeing this for some other reason and you're not already involved in our poker group and you're interested in getting involved, please reach out to me. I'll put my email address in the comments or something if people want to reach out. And yeah, we're mostly a group of friends. Like I started out with a group of 5 guys in Atlanta, where we are, and we grew from there, and it's been a ride for sure. And the pandemic has just been crazy for us because we've been playing much more frequently. So we were playing once a week on Fridays before the pandemic, and now we're playing multiple days a week. So it's pretty great. Anyway, I need to get going. It's been a pleasure. I hope you've enjoyed, and we will. I'll see if I can't upload this, maybe edit it down a little bit. Hope you have a wonderful day. Thanks.